4, it's me, Mr. A, back with story time for another day, and chapter 10 of King Solomon's Mines. Chapter 10 is entitled The Place of Death. Anyway, towering over the room was a massive human skeleton. It was carved out of white stalactite, which gave it an eerie luminescence. In its hand was a spear. But this bizarre spectacle was not the worst of it. Sat on a low stone table was the body of King Tuala. Water dripped down onto his body from the ceiling. Its intended effect was clear, for seated around the table were what at first appeared to be smaller versions of the stalactites we'd seen in the cave. On closer inspection, we realized that they were mummified bodies, encased to a greater or lesser degree by rock formed by the trickling water. "You know who they are, of course," whispered Good after a time. "The former rulers of Kukuanaland, I fear," replied Sir Henry, "petrified, one and all." "What a ghastly way to bury one's dead," said Good. "Now, Gagool," I said in a low voice, "lead us to the treasure chamber." Gagool hobbled into the shadows to the featureless wall behind the skeleton. "Here is the chamber, my lords." "Don't jest with us," I said sternly, surveying the flat, solid rock. "I do not jest. See!" At that instant, a mass of stone slowly rose from the floor and disappeared into the rock immediately above. I guessed that Gagool had operated some secret lever, though she had been careful to avoid us seeing it. We made our way down the dim tunnel, at the end of which stood an elaborately carved wooden doorway. At last we stood on the threshold of the treasure room. "Enter, my lords," rasped Gagool, "but be warned. There is a saying that those who enter there will die within a moon." "Oh, confound it all," said Good, grabbing Gagool's lamp and shoving open the door. "I'm not going to be frightened by her." "Let my lords look for a nook," said Gagool as we entered the small room. "In the nook you will find what you seek." After a certain amount of fumbling around in the dark, we located a recess in the wall. Within it sat 3 stone chests. The lid of one had been removed and lay resting by its side. Sir Henry held the lamp over it. "Look," he gasped. The chest was piled high with dazzling uncut diamonds, most of them a considerable size. An examination of the other chests revealed much the same. I stooped and picked up a handful of the stones. "We're the richest men in the whole world," I gasped. For a minute or so we stood transfixed by the wealth before us, but our moment of triumph was short-lived. "Hee! Farewell, foolish men from the stars!" came a cry from outside the room. We ran from the treasure room to find Gagool standing on our side of the stone door, which was rapidly descending. Didn't see that coming. With a last cackle, she ducked through the decreasing gap leading back to the place of death. How did they fall for that? Why didn't they? Oh, never mind. But Gagool had left her escape too late. The 30-ton slab caught her in its vice-like grip, and her body was pressed flat against the rock floor. There was a shriek, followed by a long crunch, and Gagool, the witch, was no more. That's what we call hoisted by one's own petard. "Good riddance," I said, unable to feel any pity for such a wicked creature. "We may soon join her," sighed Sir Henry. "Eh, what do you mean?" asked Good. "Don't you see, man," said Sir Henry gravely. "We're trapped." Right. Well, they kind of walked into that one, didn't they? And that's the end of chapter 10. I'll be back tomorrow with chapter 11, which is called Buried Alive. Right. Have a great day, everybody. Take care. See you soon.